Good day, Your Excellency. You're welcome to this special interview session. And to be conducting the interview will be Kafayat Aji Shafe. She's from the Kwara Television Service, Kwara TV.
Your Excellency, sir.
And we also have Yomi Adeboye. He's from the Kwara State Printer and Publishing Corporation, publishers of the Herald. And Kayode Aremu from the Kwara State Broadcasting Corporation, Radio Kwara, Midland, 99.1 FM Ilorin, Kakaki, 90.1 FM Ilorin, and Notia, 90.7 FM Okuta. Thank you, sir. So, Kwaras, this is a special media chat with His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Man AbdulRahman AbdulRazaq. And for the next 1 hour, we'll be x-raying what the administration has met on the ground, what it has done, and the way forward for Kwaras in the next 1 hour. So please stay tuned.
Your Excellency, as we approach the elections, the campaigns have started. Propaganda and fake news, especially using digital media, has become a very potent weapon in the hands of the opposition. How prepared are you as a candidate and your party, the APC, to counter these things?
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we've seen an avalanche of fake news and propaganda. But our counter to this is to sell our projects, to do more of what we've been doing. That is making progress, launching our product, which is to say commissioning our projects to showcase the government and to show the people that there has been a change, and which the people are already feeling. So basically, we continue to tell the truth and sell our stories. Thank you.
Okay, so as a follow-up to that question, some members of your party here in Kwara State are complaining that the administration is not taking them along in activities and maybe some other projects of the administration. And they have threatened to kind of challenge the administration in the forthcoming general elections. What are you doing to ensure that that does not happen?
Yes, this is a democracy. We continue to engage everyone. Our first priority is to the people. They voted us in. That is why the government has been tagged Ijoba Mekuno, which is to say, we've reached out to the people, we've reached out to the base, they voted us in. But the gatekeepers, the politicians are also very important. We also make sure we engage them properly and ensure that they stay the course. It's not business as usual. Some people expect us to behave like the last administration, which indeed it's not possible due to the paucity of resources. And we cannot do what the other party has done. They had 20 years to get to where they got to. It's taken us 3.5 years to catch up and do better than they have done. But doing that, there has to be a lot of sacrifices on our part, and the members of our party. There has to be some discipline to know that sacrifices will be made to yield fruits. Thank you.
Sir, Your Excellency, talking in terms of party discipline, it's on record that some of your members of the APC, even some who have gotten political appointments at the federal level, are the one even sponsoring and supporting some of the opposition parties in Kwara State. Is there no internal mechanism to check against anti-party activities?
As they say, politics is not a religion. People have freedom of association. Yes, we do understand that members of our party are sponsoring, conniving with other members in other parties, but I believe most of them will come back and stay the course. Many of them are board members, so they can't claim to be marginalized within the party. Yes, we know that some people had interest to contest for political office. Only one person can win at a time. Some have lost out, some have won. We'll just work with those that have lost out to come and join and stay the course. We're on a march to rediscover Kwara, to bring Kwara back to where it belongs. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. There have been efforts on your part as the leader of the APC in Kwara State to achieve reconciliation among your members. We understand that the committee in charge of this has already gotten back to Your Excellency. With this kind of approach, how confident are you, sir, as the candidate of the party, that your party will go into this election as a united front?
We have a common philosophy, which is to say, development of this state. Now, yes, the issues that have made some members unhappy, we've set up a reconciliation committee, and indeed they've concluded their work in the first stage. We're going through the second phase of the work they're doing. They've reached out to various members of the party that are not happy, but by and large, majority of the members are together. The party is waxing stronger daily. Sometimes you see that you hear the talk of other parties trying to look for common candidates to field against us. Well, you all think about it. If we're not the strongest and leading party in the state, they would not want to join forces. Our members that are not happy have been spoken to. I've met many of them, and they've agreed to come back. So we're going into this election as a very strong force. Thank you.
Okay, sir. In the past, Your Excellency, Kwara used to have two major parties that will be contesting for political posts. Today in Kwara, we have not less than 5 political parties. Your own party, the APC, the People's Democratic Party, the SDP, the Labour Party, NNP, and so on and so forth. What do you think is the cause of this?
First of all, you say the dynasty, the former dynasty is dead, completely dead. It's level open field for everybody now to market their goods, take charge of our destiny. Now, we're seeing the best platform to take charge of the destiny of Kwara is the APC, and the party of President Muhammad Buhari, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and a host of others. So, Kwarans have rediscovered themselves. There's no more leader here or there. We're all our own leaders, charting our own destiny and future. Thank you.
And I would like to ask this, Sam, Your Excellency. Most party members of the APC in Kwara State found out that what they tell them on the street is that, what have you gained from your party? Because we find out that you kept everything open for Kwarans, not for party levels. But for your party members, they were like, this is not what is obtainable in Kwara. If we are government, then anything that is coming will come to only we party members. But your own administration has been saying, no, it should go to all Kwarans, irrespective of party affiliation. Don't you think this will cause some disenchantment?
We've been able to explain this to core members of our party to say, it's the people first. After inauguration in May 2019, our mandate was given to us by the entire people of Kwara State, which means that we have to serve everybody. We're not here to serve our party members only. Now, if you look at the population of our state compared to membership of the party, you see that we're probably 1% of the total population of the state in terms of membership. So we can't neglect the 99% and give favor to 1%. Yes, that was what used to happen. And if you did not belong to the dynasty, you had no way of getting on in the state. Now, that is different. It's a government for all. That's why in our social investment program, we did not favor anybody. If you go back to the COVID-19 period when we distributed relief materials, we brought in NGOs, Mekuno Agenda and all of them came on board and made sure it was bipartisan and everybody was able to get access to the relief provided by the state. But most members of the party understand this position that, yes, we're here to serve the people, not ourselves. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Your Excellency. Federal roads in Kwara State, there seems to have been some areas where work have slowed down, some areas work have stopped. What are the promises, sir, that the federal government is actually trying to see this project through?
There are huge challenges at all levels of governance, the national government and subnational government. On the federal roads, the main roads which the federal government is presently working on are the Ilorin-Kaba Road, the Sarasaragi to Pategi Road, Wawa to Kayama Road, Kishi Kayama Road, and then Ilorin-Igbeti. Those are the major roads. To add to that, we have the dualization of Ilorin-Jeba Road. The most active work is being done on Ilorin-Jeba dualization, which comes under the federal government tax program of NMPC, tax refund program of NMPC. Now, I've visited the Federal Ministry of Works about 6 times in the last 2 years to push them on these roads. We all know that there's an issue of posture of funds. As you know, each National Assembly member wants a federal project in his or her community. So for a project of about 40 billion, the budgetary allocation is sometimes 100 million. Maybe in future, the federal government should just concentrate on 1 or 2 roads and put in about 5 billion to complete the road. At the rate we're going now, I don't see most of these roads being completed on time. It's not that there's no will to do it. Yes, the federal government is trying on all fronts. You can see the second Niger Bridge will be commissioned this year by Mr. President. We've seen the Ilorin-Mokwa Road was completed on time. Lagos-Ibadan Road should be completed next year, but 80% of it has been done. So basically, it's a matter of funds allocation, and National Assembly should look into how to mitigate the number of projects in the budgetary allocation to those funds. But certainly, on our part here, we've been working closely with the federal government, especially on the Kishi-Kayama Road. The Federal Executive Council just approved recently a revised budget of 27 billion for the 3 sections of the road. We on our part tried to move into, we commenced work on it, but we've been told to step aside, and the federal government wants to re-award the contract again to 3 fresh companies. So we're looking forward to having them do that immediately.
Okay, sir, Your Excellency, Ilesha-Baruba-Gwanara Road is yet to be commissioned. Why?
It was awarded some 10 years ago. It's 33 kilometers, and we've been on it. When we came in, the contract was awarded at 2.7 billion. Initially at a lower cost, but in May before we came in, it was pushed up to 2.7 billion. On site, they had done barely 20% of the work and had paid close to 70% or so to the contractor. Now, when we look at infrastructure deficit in Kwara North, we thought it was a very important road to do. It was a major statement to make. It's an agrarian road. It brings in traffic inflow from Republic of Benin into Kwara through Ilesha-Baruba and into Nigeria especially. Now, we saw that the road was awarded as surface dressing. So we decided to upgrade it to asphalt because a road of that magnitude, surface dressing won't last 5 years. So we added, I believe, 260 million onto the contract, 260 million naira, which brought the contract to about 3 billion altogether. Today, the road is 90% completed. Hopefully, that road will be commissioned this year. For us to construct at 3 kilometers at 3 billion, it's magic. That road today, if we award it, will be coming in at about 6 billion. So it's kudos to us to have been able to manage that at 3 billion. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the railway underpass is one of the major projects done in 8 years by the former administration. Unfortunately, that road is not passing right now. It has some structural effect, and the opposition is saying it's because this administration is not doing the maintenance policy.
That suggestion is laughable. If you go to the site, you see that the surface of the road has buckled under the weight of trucks passing, heavy-duty trucks passing on the road. It's either there's design issues, the contractor maybe did not meet the specification, but as you can see, that road originally comes from Lagos, was part of the Lagos-Ibadan Ilorin Express Road dualization contract, which terminated at Gere Alimi, where the interchange is. Now, that road carries heavy traffic from Lagos. It's supposed to take up to 50 tons. Where a road buckles like that, it has nothing to do with maintenance at all. If the proper specifications were met, you would see the road will not buckle at all. A few months after we were sworn in, we had problems with the same structures there. We had to shut the flyover there, the underpass, for about 2 months, where we carried out repairs on it. There was burst water, leakages, and if you look at the sidewalls, there's even seepages. So it shows that probably there was no dam-proofing courses on the retaining walls. But by and large, it has nothing to do with maintenance. From what we see there, water is supposed to flow out of the underpass by gravity. Water is flowing, but the main problem is heavy trucks are passing the road, and the strength of the surface is not strong enough for those vehicles. That's probably why it buckled in. But we'll send in engineers to look at it. It's not enough to just go and resurface the place, because the problem will come back again. So let's see what the major problems are there. Look at the design of the bridge, the underpass, and see if the right work was done in the past on the underpass. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There has been a lot of big projects. In the audiovisual film industry, the composites of Basu, the garment factory, which we understand will provide no less than 2,000 direct jobs for Kwara, and so many more. And the administration has been keeping itself in control.
Well, those are projects that are coming on time. As you can see, we used the first year in planning. Unfortunately, the state didn't have a master plan. Now, if there was a master plan, what would have done is dust it over, and then move on. But we had to bring in a new master plan, a sustainable plan, in the first year. The second year, you saw how COVID hit us hard. So really, most of our projects started about a year ago, and we keep pushing it, the challenges of inflation, exchange rate, and so on. But if you take those projects one by one with the challenges, yes, those are projects that should come in 2 years. We're trying to push them into coming on time. So By the end of this year, most of those projects will be completed. For the garment factory, it should be ready for commission definitely this year. It's basically 99%. All the machines, equipment are in place. So for us, it's not to rush in the project, but to make sure we complete them on time. The Visual Arts Center will come in place. The film factory and so on, they're all coming in place. OC campus of the Kwasu, they're looking at end of this year as well, and the Lesha Baraba campuses. But as you know, it's one thing to complete the building of the campuses. It's another thing for the university to move in and begin the intake. The faculties, as you know, University Kwasu campus in Elisha Baba is an agric facility. So we are now working with them to see when the first intake of the university will begin on those campuses as well. So yes, we can finish construction this year, but the actual use of those facilities will begin next year.
Your Excellency, sir, Bubu International Market is another laudable project of this administration. Phase 1 has been completed and delivered to the state government. When are we expecting the 2 other phases of the project?
Bubu International Market is going to be one of the biggest markets in North Central. People will come in from Niger State, as far as Kogi State, Nasarawa State, to trade in that market. The second phase of the market should be in our budget for next year, and it will be coming next year. We hope to commission the Bubu International Market probably this year or in January, and make sure it's put to good use immediately.
Your Excellency, sir, the garment factory has been bringing a lot of excitement in town because the Honorable Commissioner for Communication has been saying it's 2,000 people, direct jobs that you are going to employ. Lot of excitement. But 2 questions, sir. Number 1, do you already have a market for the product of the garment factory for it to be sustainable? Number 2, is it the civil servants or public servants that are going to manage it? Because experience has shown that they don't actually have capacity when it comes to business.
Our investment in the garment industry is deliberate. If you look at the world garment industry, Nigeria should be a part of it. We should not just be consumers. Today, China dominates the market. Interestingly, Bangladesh, number 3, is earning more from garment export than we're earning from oil in Nigeria. So that shows you that that's a niche market we in Kwara can pursue, and that is what we intend to do. From phase 1, we're looking at a state where, if everything goes right, there are probably 20,000, 30,000 people employed in that industry in this state. The first factory will be a catalyst for future factories to come online in Kwara State. Now, in terms of management, yes, certainly civil servants are preoccupied with the civil service job. The management is going to be outsourced. We're talking to UNDP as well because we want a first-class factory that will be able to export. Even not to talk about export, the local market is so huge that domestic production today cannot cover the local markets. We import a lot of finished garments into Nigeria. So we're not even thinking of export now, but we want to have a factory that will be able to export under the AGOA agreement to the United States or anywhere else in the world. So to answer your question, yes, it won't be handed over to civil servants. There will be a public-private partnership in the management of the factory, which will be sustainable in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We've been talking about some of the key projects that your administration has put in place. We talked about the Visual Arts Center, the International Conference, the Garment Factory, and then lots of things. So much in less than 4 years. Now, Your Excellency, can you explain to us the vision, the purpose that is driving all these things for you, sir?
Yes, Kwara is known as a civil service state, and we want to change that. We want to build an economy outside the civil service. Now, that's the vision, to get people to work, to get people to pay taxes, to expand financial inclusiveness, to increase the GDP. Now, how do we do that? By creating jobs, by creating businesses, sustainable businesses. Now, which sort of businesses do you look at? You look at industries that employ a lot of people, and specialist industries that create a lot of digital inputs. Now, when you look at industries that create a lot of jobs, you look at garment production, cashew, shea, and so on. But when you look at the technology-based industries today, electronic technology industries, you're looking at the innovation hub and so on, the digital age, visual art center. Now, in the visual art center, what we're trying to create is turn Kwara into a hub for cinematography production. Yes, today in the world in cinematography, Bollywood is number one, followed by Hollywood, and then Nollywood. In terms of Nollywood, prolific production, Nigeria is on top of its game. But we're not producing the quality films that will earn us the money. 2-3 films in Hollywood is the entire budget of Nollywood production. So how do we scale up in Nigeria? Well, by shooting films. What we're shooting in Nigeria are basically videos. We're shooting videos using cameras, our telephones, substandard cameras to shoot video films. And that is what we market all across Africa. Any country you go to in Africa, you will see a Nigerian movie, Nollywood movie on their TV or in the marketplaces, some subtitled, some translated to other languages, French, and so on. Now, if you go to movie awards in Africa, there's a FESPACO Movie Award in Burkina Faso. Go to the Cannes Film Awards. Nigerian movies are not cutting it. We're not winning awards there, basically because of the format in which we shoot our movies. Now, that's where the industry we want to create in Kwara comes in through the Visual Arts Center and the Film Factory we're doing. We'll be able to do the last mile production, which is the most important part of the film production, the editing, the coloring, the sound, the voiceovers, animation. That's where we want to concentrate, bringing the expertise. In the Nigerian movie industry, there are a lot of Kwarans, producers, directors, especially in the Yoruba film industry, who are operating out of Lagos. We want to bring most of them back home, that they can operate here. In the Sugar Factory Film Production, we call it Sugar Factory Film Production Studios because we're using the former Tate and Lie Sugar Factory Studios. We're trying to build our own mini Universal Studios, which you have in Hollywood here, which will be equipped and with sound stages and all the proper equipment, the studios. So you can shoot your skits here. For example, many of you that know Kuta Biola, who is from Kwara, Mr. Macaroni. Mr. Macaroni can shoot all his skits in Ilorin with the green rooms, blue rooms, and the right equipment here. We're bringing the expertise in. Training will be done here locally. And so the future is bright for that industry. Now, we want to take advantage, build expertise. So we're diverting away gradually from having a civil service state to creating an industry for the youth to engage in. Today, if you organize a photography competition, the talents are huge in the States. If you organize a skit competition, the talents are huge in the States. We want to build on those talents to be able to make Kwara, put Kwara on the map, to make sure this is a destination for cinematography in Africa. Most of the equipment we're going to have here, like the utmost Dolby system, probably have 2 or 3 in Nigeria. Many companies that go to South Africa to do the adverts or last mile production of movie production will come here to finish them in Kwara. And coming here to finish in Kwara brings one thing. They're going to spend money here to use the facilities. They're going to stay in hotels. That creates other secondary businesses. Some of them will establish offices here because of the linkages and so on. So this is a very important industry we're creating. You see, the movie industry, unlike the music industry, which Afrobeats also is dominating, making waves across the world. The differences are there. In the music industry, you don't need a studio anymore. You can mix your music on a laptop, and there you go. But in the movie industry, you always have to end up in the studios with your films, and those first-class studios are not here available in Nigeria. That's what we want to create here, so that our movies will easily get into Netflix and other major platforms in the movie industries in the world. Thank you.
I just want to do a follow-up on the issue of those things that Your Excellency has been able to do within such a short time. Now, prior to the time that your administration came up, there were problems in the education sector. But between then and now, as part of the achievement of your administration, you have been able to change things in terms of our state's relationship with development partners, like UNICEF, UPEC, and some of that, like that. You have also brought innovations like Kwara. You have introduced various things in that sector that are targeting the youth who are known to be the future of every society. Now, Your Excellency, my questions are, one, given the fact that paucity of funds is a very serious problem for state governments in Nigeria, how are you able to drive all these things? And what are the key things that you would say that you have achieved in all these areas?
Well, the first thing is to thank the FEMA agencies for the roles they played in our development of the state. Also thank the federal government for its intervention in projects like the UBEC grants, which is about $1 billion every year to every state on the average. The only condition the federal government says is that every state has to contribute matching funds, counterpart funding of equal amount. We've had bad experiences with UBEC. Since 2013, UBEC banned Kwara State from accessing funds. And in Europe, what it meant is that since 2013 to 19, when we came in, we did not access any UBEC grants. It meant there was no meaningful investment in the education industry. That's why in Kwara States, up to today, we see lots of dilapidated structures. We'll come back in education. Kwara used to lead in the north when it comes to education, but that's not the case today. And we've been spending a lot of resources in that. And how did we get there? In 2013, UPEC gave Kwara State $1 billion. Offered us $1 billion naira grants. The state probably went to the banks and borrowed $1 billion and showed it to UBEC, and UBEC gave us the $1 billion. The state company returned the $1 billion back to the banks, and then the $1 billion from UBEC, they just shared it, they squandered it, they're not going to. The long and short, they stole the money. It's so sad that for them, they didn't understand that it wasn't the money they were stealing. They were stealing the future of our kids. And that is so damning. But the first thing we did was to go to UBEC and say, look, how do we restore this? They told us that they had tried to force the last administration to pay back, but if you can pay back the full amount being owed, they'll restore the program in Kwara. We promptly paid that, and we're now good with UBEC, access to them. Things are getting better in Kwara, to the extent that the UBEC organized school debate competition. Kwara won the debate, so we're back on track. The kids just came back from Dubai, where they represented Nigeria, sponsored by UBEC, and we did well there. We need to reposition education in Kwara. After losing ground for so long, how do we do that? That is where the issue of peer review comes in. We have to go to other states to see what they were doing. Because the leading states, we looked at Kaduna, we looked at Edo, we looked at Lagos. And in those states, we saw that education had vastly improved. In Edo and Lagos, what they did was just introduce technology in the classrooms by giving every teacher a laptop, a tablet to use in the classroom. And we found out that the Lagos and Edo program did not have much political implication like in Kaduna, where 22,000 teachers were sacked. All they did was give a tablet to every teacher, train them how to use it. Any teacher that carries a tablet is moved to another part of the civil service. Now, basically, if you cannot use a tablet, you cannot teach any student. So Lagos came up with a program called Eco Excel, and it came up with a program called EduBest. EduBest has gone to win so many awards that 2 years ago the World Bank gave Edo State $72 million to expand the project. In fact, the Edo is so successful that students and now parents are taking their students away from private school into public schools. Yeah. So that's the big challenge for them. They have to start hiring more teachers, building new classrooms. It's good, it's up and up for them. Same thing as in Lagos. Lagos has vastly improved to the extent Lagos won the best teacher in Nigeria competition. The students have vastly improved in many outcomes. So, for us now, we went into our own project using the same company employed by Edo and Lagos State to come up with the Kwara Learn program. Kwara Learn is on its first phase now for local governments, and we've seen quick turnaround in students' ability has improved. School attendance has improved. We're also beginning to see what's happening in Edo State, where the enrollment is now on the increase in our public schools. Now, we're looking at the data. We have to find out exactly what's causing the data, because that's also coming at the same time with the school feeding program as well. So we've seen the data going up. In this local governments that the program has started precision marketing of students, parents, going to the markets, going to stores, going to the public places to make sure the parents enroll their children, to make sure parents send their children back to school. And all the programs are going on. What does Kwara Learn consist of? Basically giving a tablet to teacher in the state. Now, what does a tablet do? The curriculum of the school is loaded, so the teacher knows what he or she is teaching every single day. And the teacher does not go to class and freestyle and teach what they want. So you know what the outcomes will be. The tablet enumerates the tablet. Once a teacher gets into class in the morning, opens the tablet, he automatically pops in. And also, he knows how many students are in the classroom. Those that are not attending classes are well noted. And for the reasons they're not attending, if the parents are taking them to the farms, will know that. So if you see a student is not coming to school, from the system you will know it. Even if the teacher is not reporting, the headmaster knows in the back office because it's reported. The Ministry of Education and Learning knows they have the data of each student. So intervention can come from the ministry to see how we can visit the students to make sure the students are in school and not taken away from school. So there are many benefits to the current learning program. And it's a shortcut to scaling back to the job. Kwara needs to be back on top of education in North Central, in Northern Nigeria, in the whole of Nigeria. So that's the essence of playing counterpart funding. But the teachers are motivated, man, and they're doing the needful, they're making sure those kids get the right attention they need. So I'm very glad for the dedication of our teachers. Yes, there are teething problems there, and that some teachers will not report in our areas, but we'll come to that and fix those problems of the right event. But that we've employed close to 5,000 teachers in the state in the last 2 years. So that shows you the seriousness we've attached to that sector. And it wasn't those sort of local government chairman give me an employment scheme. It was a transparent scheme that was done. People are happy. Even those that applied and did not make their requirements were happy that the process was transparent. And we're also happy that we're having the right people, the best of the best, teaching our kids. Out of the programs that 50 first-class students were employed in the program. So, because of the teacher, we thank them for their service to the state, and they did well. When we talk of capital funding, when we came, UNICEF had led the states to show that we're serious. We're very serious. We want to show our seriousness. Not only UNICEF, not Site Savers International, they have left too. But Site Savers show our investment in eye care. Big investments in eye care. They've come back to sign an MOU with us to work with us to train doctors and so on. UNICEF is back in Kwara because of our seriousness. We've been counterpart funding in all programs. For example, as a accelerated nutrition in Nigeria, and project, which is 50 million every year for 5 years. So it means that we have to invest 250 million on that program. The last administration did not engage it, but immediately we came in, we subscribed to it and started paying. Now, what is happening? We found out that Kwara State top-notch center in malnutrition. And that program is a program for malnutrition supplying vitamins at the local government level to kids at the local government level and so on. We went to subscribe to roll back malaria and went on to save the 1 million lives. So there are many programs that we subscribe to polio eradication. So big program, huge investment. But the outcome is clear today. When we look at our performances, they want to see which project we're going to commission. Well, that's not where it is. It's not about commissioning projects. It's about looking at the data when we came in. How many students were enrolled in school? How many there are today? Look at our healthcare data, maternal mortality, under 5 mortality, hospital attendance at primary healthcare level, hospital attendance at tertiary institution. Those numbers are amazing. The numbers will couple. When I first saw those numbers, I couldn't believe them. But it's not about our investment, direct budgetary investment in the health sector, but the fact that we embraced those donor organizations, multilateral corporations, we paid our counterpart funding. Imagine you pay 200 and receive 2 billion in goods and equipment and pharmaceutical. That's what it's all about. We don't get money from the agencies, but we get pharmaceutical. For rollback malaria, we got 2.5 million mosquito nets, which we distributed across the state. That's a good one. When you check the data today for Nigeria, we're below the national average. When we came in 2019, we were above the national average. Today, we're far below the national average, which we're linking to the distribution of mosquito nets all over the state. So, the major important thing is to make sure we embrace donor agencies, we embrace international organizations, and make sure that we be counterpart fundings and get what we need to get. Thank you.
Your Excellency, when the former administration in the state set up the aviation college, there was a lot of excitement because it's, apart from that owned by the federal government, that was the only other one obtainable in Nigeria. But sir, I'm very much aware that for 8 years of the past administration, no one cover got into the purse of the Kwara state government. This was revelation at the then former House of Assembly. Now, your administration some days ago gave the aviation college some grants and money to revive the place. But the dream has been that at least Kwarans, even if it's one, periodically will get scholarship because aviation is the main thing, air traveling is developing in Nigeria. So do you have such plans to make Kwarans benefit from the aviation college, and as your administration be making money from it?
The aviation college has been suffering from mismanagement, bad management, and looting to the extent that they will sold some aircraft to themselves, the last administration. So sad. But since then, I've been to the Navy, I've been to the Air Force, we're working a path back. But that path is good. Today we have about 55 students. About 12 graduated about a week ago. So it's back on the good track. We have serious dedicated people in the school today. It's a huge industry. The whole idea is to make aviation hub in Nigeria. But due to the unfortunate mismanagement of the place, it's so sad. But then we're seeing a good turnaround now. We're investing in the institution. We're clearing out debts in the institution. We're unlocking opportunities there. So very soon, next year's budget will be sponsoring Kwara students into the institution. 1 or 2 have passed through in this year. 1 or 2 that will not pay fees, will pay the fees on the behalf institution. But very long term and also pay these fees in the institution. But certainly next year will be a different story because we want to use our primary advantage to make sure we push our students there. It's expensive. It's more expensive than the additional college in Zaire. We're also talking with WASU. So there will be a link between the aviation college and WASU. Some people have talked of some nature, but they're still on their own paths to greatness. And very soon, hopefully the Air Force will be back, fully engaged. The Air Force, after I mentioned the chief of Air Staff, has set up a committee to engage with the College of Aviation. The Air Force team will go to Kwara for the first meeting. And from there, they can produce an early for engagement so that Air Force officers can be trained in Kwara. And also, we spoke about sharing platforms, which is basically the Air Force has some excess aircraft at the training school in Kaduna, which they can make available to International Aviation College in London, which we will use to train their pilots and other pilots in London. Yeah. Yes, aviation is not cheap because of the cost of aviation, but we're making sure the school stays open and it's training students.
All right, viewers, it's a special media chat with the Kwara State Governor, Governor AbdulRahman, AbdulRazaq. And here with us, we have the General Manager of Radio Kwara, the General Manager of Herald, and Kafayat Ajishafe of Kwara TV. Moving quickly, Your Excellency, sir, let's talk about the social investment program of your administration. The administration has been able to reach out to a reasonable number of traders artisans, and even widows in the state. What informed the Kwasi program, sir?
Yes, coming from the private sector, when I first heard about the program, I didn't embrace it truly. But after becoming the candidate of the party before the 2019 elections, I was able to become the vice president for Solicitor Budget to launch the program in Kwara, trader money in Kwara. Now, when we go to the market, before we go to the market, the question I asked myself was 10,000 naira. That's just what you use for dinner in Lagos or Abuja. Why would you want to waste your time distributing 10,000 naira to people? When we go to the market, people were joyous, those who got excited, some were crying. It was an amazing scene. Then I began to realize the importance of social investment program. You see women with a basket of tomatoes, their net worth is about 3,000 naira. That's what we've done. And the federal government is giving them 10,000 to scale up their businesses. And if their impact is double to 20,000. Now, that was excitement. This were women that were financially excluded. They didn't have bank accounts. They couldn't go to any bank to raise money for their business. And somebody's coming to say, here's 10,000, go and expand the business. So, also amazing. And then the federal government into the Empower and all different programs from the social safety net. Now, that was really important to me that this is the path to follow. I have to do it. Now, we now went a step above the federal government by sending the bill to the House, State House of Assembly, and passing it into law. Now, the federal government runs actually at the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, while ours is a standalone legal entity. It works. It's been working. People get directly to their accounts. There's no middleman to interfere in the money. Our program was speaking of benefiting. The federal program was federal government has done exceedingly well. In 2019, 40,000 people had been captured on the federal program. One day I was just sitting in my office, I saw some information about on BBC about a village, the mainland. And there were these women that had built a school. So the next thing we did was to go to the village to say, well done to them. So they said, well done. And the women had used the money they were collecting from the social investment of the federal government to build the school. That was amazing. They were concerned about having a future for their kids through education. Now, one amazing takeaway from this is that it was trickled down in the program. Money was getting to Nigerian villages. People will not tell you that. When you see Buhari moves around that, you see people are still supporting him heavily. It's because the people in the rural areas appreciate him. They sit in their villages and they're getting their alerts all the time from the federal government. So these women have taken their own alert and built a school. So what we did was promptly we refunded the money, so they refunded our 450,000 naira to them. We built 3 classrooms, gave them a ballroom and all that. But my takeaway from that was that the social investment program works. We should have a safety net. We should not leave anyone behind. Use their own money to build a school. We've done that in the States. During the COVID-19, when we stopped total complete movement, we captured I think 19,000 Okada travelers. I get them included them in the social investment program. Those under 16 are benefiting from the program. So far now we're looking at up to 100,000 people benefiting from the program. So it's huge. It's a safety net for everybody. It's a trickle down into our economy. It shows you that everyone in the society has a stake in society, and everybody is entitled to the benefit of what he or she can get from the state government. While the federal government program is still ongoing, the state program is also going on simultaneously. So it's a program embraced by the masses.